Stephen called me again on Tuesday. His voice was no longer cheerful. It was a jagged, desperate sound. The buyers are threatening to sue. They put down a massive deposit. You have to sign the papers, Mom. I adjusted the phone's volume slightly. My kitchen was filled with sunlight. I cannot sign a lie, Stephen. The Oak Street house is rented. The tenants have a 3-year lease. You sold them a false promise. He let out a frustrated growl. Who cares about some random renters? We're talking about my future. I care about them, Stephen. They pay rent and trust me, just like I once trusted you. Silence hung heavy on the line. I could hear his shallow breathing. Lauren is going to leave me. She thinks I'm a complete failure. That is between you and her. I didn't sell your house, Stephen. You tried to sell my life. I hung up before he screamed. My attorney called an hour later. The bank had completed the audit. The fraud was clearly documented now. Digital footprints led back to him. Every transfer had a specific IP. It was his home office address. There was no hiding the truth. My savings were officially frozen now. The process of recovery had begun. It would take months, not days. But the path was finally clear. I felt a strange, hollow relief. I went for my evening walk. The Ohio suburbs were very still. Fireflies blinked in the tall grass. I thought about Stephen as a child. He used to hold my hand. He used to fear the dark. Now he was the dark shadow. I reached the end of block. I turned around and walked back. My home was still standing tall. The family trust had saved me. I had planned for a tragedy. I just never expected this one. On Friday, the police called me. They needed a formal written statement. I went to the station early. The room was cold and bright. The officer was young and polite. "It is a hard situation, ma'am. It is a necessary one." I signed the documents with care. My signature was firm and straight. I didn't hesitate a single second. I left the station feeling lighter. The sun was warm on skin. I went to the local library. I checked out 3 new mysteries. I needed a different kind of. One where justice was always served. Stephen's wedding date arrived and passed. I spent the day in garden. I planted rows of purple petunias. I didn't check my phone once. I didn't look for any photos. The silence was my best friend. The neighbors didn't know the story. They saw a woman gardening quietly. They saw a woman living well. Appearance can be a strong shield. My internal world was a storm, but the storm was finally breaking. I was the captain of ship. I was the architect of peace. Stephen had tried to burn it, but I had used fireproof bricks, logic, law, and ironclad boundaries. I sat on my back porch. I drank a glass of lemonade. The ice clinked against the glass. It was a very sweet sound. I was 63 and standing firm. I was Donna Caldwell and safe. 2 weeks later, Lauren called me. Her voice was sharp and brittle. "You're ruining our lives. You know, Stephen is facing criminal charges now. He might lose his entire career. How can a mother do this?" I listened to her frantic breath. "He did this to himself, Lauren. He chose to steal my security. He chose to sell my property. He was doing it for us. The U.S. doesn't include me, apparently. I am not a bank, Lauren. I am a human being here." She hung up with a sob. I felt a pang of pity. She was young and very foolish. She had tethered herself to greed. Now she was sinking with him. I went back to my ledger. The bank returned half the funds. Rest was still in limbo. I didn't need it all immediately. I had my rental income still. My tenants sent me a card. They thanked me for the lease. They didn't want to move out. I assured them they were safe. Their safety was my own victory. Stephen was served with the lawsuit. The buyers wanted their deposit back, plus interest and legal fees too. He had already spent the money. Caterers, rings, and the luxury car. He had built a house of. Now the wind was blowing hard. He came to my house again. It was raining and very dark. He looked like a broken man. He sat at the kitchen table. He didn't look me in the eye. "I'm sorry, Mom," he whispered then. "I just wanted to be someone. I wanted Lauren to be proud. You were already someone to me. You were my son. Stephen, that was more than enough. Once he started to cry very softly. I didn't reach for his hand, didn't offer him any tea. I let him sit in his. What happens now? He asked me. The law will decide that, Stephen. I will not drop the charges. I will not lie for you. He looked up with genuine shock. You really hate me, don't you? I don't hate you at all. I just love my own dignity. I love the truth more, Stephen. He left without another single word. I watched his taillights fade away. I locked the front door tightly. I went to bed and slept. My dreams were quiet and calm. The investigation took 4 more months. Stephen took a plea deal eventually. Probation and full restitution were required. He lost his high-paying office job, started working in a warehouse. Lauren left him within a month. She didn't want a fresh start. She wanted the designer handbag life. Stephen learned about conditional love then. He learned it from her painfully. I kept my distance from him. We didn't share any Sunday dinners. We didn't share any holiday plans. I wasn't being cruel or mean. I was simply allowing him space. Space to grow and to change. Space to face his own reflection. I joined a local hiking group. I met women my own age. We talked about life and loss. We talked about our strong boundaries. I felt like I belonged there. I was no longer just mother. I was Donna, a whole person. And the ground was very solid. A year has passed since then. The petunias have bloomed and faded. I am sitting in my kitchen. The sunlight is the same gold. My bank account is fully restored. The legal battles are all over. I receive a letter once a month. It is a check from Stephen. Restitution for the money he took. It is a small symbolic amount, but it represents his hard work. He doesn't call me very often. When he does, he is polite. He asks how the garden is. I tell him about the birds. We don't talk about the house. We don't talk about the theft. The trust is still very broken, but the respect is finally growing. He sees me as a person, not as an obstacle to bypass, not as a bank to rob. I went to the rental property. I painted the front door blue. My tenants helped me with brushes. We shared a pizza on porch. I felt a sense of community. I am 64 years young now. I have more energy than before. I started a small consulting business. I help seniors organize their files. I teach them about digital safety. I tell them Donna's true story. Trust but verify, I say often. Love but build high walls. They listen with wide, knowing eyes. They have their own hidden stories. I am a voice for them. Stephen came by last Sunday morning. Brought a box of donuts. We sat on the back porch. I'm staying in an apartment now. I'm doing my own laundry, Mom. He managed a small, shy smile. It's harder than it looks. Life usually is, I replied gently. We watched the wind in trees. He didn't ask me for money. He didn't ask for a favor. He just sat there with me. I felt a flicker of hope. The boy I raised was returning. The man he became was fading. Consequences are the best teachers, truly. They strip away the false pride. They reveal the core of soul. I am not the same woman. I am sharper and much wiser. I am not afraid of silence. I'm not afraid of truth. Motherhood is a long, winding road. Sometimes you have to stop cars. Sometimes you have to walk home. I walked home to my dignity. I walked home to my peace. I look at my husband's photo, think he would be proud. I protected the life we built. Think to the son we loved. I did it by being strong. Think I did it by being honest. The sleeping giant is awake now. She is a woman in Ohio. She is a mother and survivor. She is a friend and advisor. Kana Caldwell, 64. Kana, her life is her own again. Every brick is in its place. Every dollar is accounted for now. I take a sip of coffee. 'Tis warm and perfectly brewed. I look out the window today. The world is wide and bright. I have everything I truly need. Freedom, respect, and a quiet heart. I am not a ghost anymore. I am the hero of story. I am the light in room. And everything is perfectly fine now. My story is finally beautifully complete.